another thing. This is Cory, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 256 of the O The Anthem podcast.
I figured if people were just listening to podcasts back to back to back,
yes,
then they would just like get into the next one, and then it's just like, and another thing, and it's
there we
like
go.
It never ended.
Sure. Well, welcome to episode 256 of the O The Anthem podcast, coming to you live from the #OTA LA studios, high by the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for subscribing on your podcatcher of choice, giving us a review if that's a possibility at said podcatcher, and telling your friends, and all the places that you can tell your friends at.
So we also have a distraction in the studio today. Roberto is right here and opening the door weirdly and creeping me out.
I feel like I got to be Christian Bale yelling at a cinematographer right now. Get out of my fucking eye line!
Anyway, so of course you can find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Instagram.
No, I can see your fucking shadows.
Get further away. You can find more at O The Anthem.
I'm gonna skull fuck you.
You can find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Instagram and Twitter. You, of course, what we're watching right now live at facebook.com/O The Anthem, where we broadcast live every single Monday for new episodes of the show. And if you're looking for a little extra, you can, of course, go to OTheAnthem.com to find everything O The Anthem related, or find the videos at youtube.com/O The Anthem, or your podcatcher of choice, as Cory always said. Now that we're all
caught up.
There we go.
Indeed.
We go. Yes. I can still see you, Roberto. Anyway, so yes.
No. Get out of my fucking lane. I don't even remember, to be honest, I don't remember like anything that he said in that video, but like for whatever reason, when I relive it, I just imagine him saying the worst things.
Yes.
Like I don't believe he said skull fuck.
I don't think he did that.
Video, what is it? It seems like it works
What
somehow.
movie is it from? I can't even remember what movie it's from. But like what set it was from.
Oh God, I don't remember.
Is there a
either.
chance it was from Reign of Fire, which I watched for the first time the last 2 weeks?
I don't remember.
It's a Matthew McConaughey picture with Christian Bale from back in 99 maybe?
Oh, it would have been later than that.
Okay.
I feel like him yelling at the DP was like late 2000 somewhere. It was like post Batman.
I was going to say, is there a chance it was Batman?
No.
My computer's making a lot of noise right now. I don't know what's going on. Looks like everything's functional, though. So.
It looks like it's trying to make a long journey up a steep hill.
It certainly is. It certainly is. I hope all of y'all can hear us. And checking the light, we are recording. Okay, so new things happening every day. Anyway, so we want to start out this show. This show.
This episode.
Yeah, maybe in a little bit different order than we usually would, because we got a lot of news, local news, if you would. So I think we'll start out by taking a little trip on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Yes. Wow, that was, man. It's a lot going on here. All right. So I want to follow up on a story that we talked about. Oh, I don't know. What would you say? Like
a month and a half ago, something like that? Or a month ago?
Was it that most recent?
I don't know. Time fucking escapes me.
I don't know.
Like crazy.
I feel like it was last fall. I feel like it was.
I mean, like, put it this way. Roger Kraft getting a hand job from Robert Kraft.
Yes.
Getting a hand job from a hooker happened like a week ago.
Yeah.
It feels like that was years ago now.
And I remember, I don't remember. I was on Time Hop and it was just like, hey, January just flew by. I want to say it's February. It feels like it could be damn well June already. That's from 2016. And I'm like, when did this happen? Because I feel like everything lasts forever now. Like January was forever and February was forever and it's March now.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I've often gone by the logic that like when you're young, it feels like time takes so much longer, but it's because you have so much, like, you know, when you're 5, you've only had 5 years on this earth.
Yes.
So like every single bit of that 5 years feels like it's forever because it's your entire life.
Well, also you don't remember.
But once
like,
you're
the first
35, you're like, man, this whole February just sailed by.
Why does summer feel so long when you're a kid and so long when you're an adult? Well, because when you're a kid, you only have so many summers to compare it to. So it feels very long. Yeah. But when you're an adult, you're like, I've been working. Well, okay, not you. I have been working through every summer since I was, 15 years old. So for me, summer is just another time to work. Yeah. So one of these days I'll get to retire. One of these days. I wonder if I mute it. Can you guys still hear me if I mute that out? Let us know. Let us know if it got muted. Looks like we're still recording now, so we're probably fine.
We should be okay.
I'm getting like that. Do you hear the feedback? Like, dum, ba, dum, dum,
Well, I have the headphones on, so it's hard for me to hear things that are
yeah, so
happening
it's not
outside
coming
the
through.
headphones.
It's not coming through to you.
No.
Okay. All right. So anyway, forgetting about that, the story we're talking about, of course, is the story of tragedy. A woman who was a parishioner at a Baltimore church who gave of her time and her money to the local community, violently struck down by what was alleged to be a panhandler.
Yeah.
Which struck terror throughout the entire city. Like, if this woman, known by the community, can be so viciously attacked, are any of us safe?
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, we had like the guy walking into a bar in Fells Point and just like blowing the head off a different guy. And
Right.
like, oh my God. And then woman falling into the inner harbor. And we're like, this city is just the most dangerous place in the world. Well, come to find out. Maybe not murdered by panhandler. In fact, most certainly not murdered by panhandler.
Yeah.
I don't remember the story. Was the husband in the car with her at the time?
What's so weird is like I remember seeing the flurry of tweets going out.
Yeah.
Like talking about like the breaks in the story, but I didn't ever feel like I really got the entire gist of what was being alleged most recently.
Yeah.
Nor do I feel like I had a real good grasp on what they said happened originally.
I feel like it was like we're not going to talk about the details. The tragedy of this woman's loss of life is huge. And come to find out, details are not. Turns out, probably was her husband. So, do you ever watch?
And their stepdaughter is also like
and
in the
his
mix.
daughter.
Yeah.
What is that? Is it Homicide Hunter or Homicide something on ID? It's the Kansas City guy. I listen to his podcast. His podcast is fucking magic. His voice will just like. It's like the best thing in the world. But he's got a show on ID that Chris Hardwick used to talk about all the time. That him and his girlfriend watch the show and then listen to the podcast. Anyway, he was like a 30-year veteran of the Kansas City homicide unit, and basically what he says is like, listen, like you're gonna get a lot of red herrings throughout an investigation. But when it comes down to it, it's usually someone in the family. And if it's not someone in the family, it's someone who they know, and usually they treat them like a family member.
Yeah.
And after all of this, all coming back around, it turns out. Probably a member of the family.
Probably.
And, you might be able to get away with the like, hey, it wasn't me. I don't know why you guys are accusing me.
The shaggy defense, as we like to call it.
It wasn't me.
Jurisprudence.
Right up until they catch you 20 miles from the Mexican border. On the run from the federales. And your story doesn't look so good. I don't know what to tell you.
Anytime I hear that the person was caught like miles away from the Mexican border, it increases my ability to say guilty.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit, right? Like, I don't want to...
By the way, there goes your fucking bail, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No chance you're getting bail. No chance you're getting bail.
No strong ties to the community. No.
Oh, yep. Yeah, got rid of those. No strong ties to the community. And it's not like he would flee. I mean, he could surrender his passport. I don't really know if that's... Anyway, getting out of the country. By the way, because the passport... Getting out of the country, you don't really need a passport.
He's gonna have a hard time getting into Mexico without the passport and Trump's border wall. That's gonna slow him down considerably.
Well, as I learned going into Mexico,
just ICE agents like looking, going like, "Well, I'll be somebody trying to get into Mexico."
That's strange. I mean, let him go. I guess I don't. But as I learned, traveling into Mexico at New Year's, and getting into Mexico, very easy. Nobody checked the passport. I had mine in my hand because I was worried that at any point an M16 clad gang member would come up and I'd have to make a run back for the other side of the border.
Yes.
But
yelling
racist,
sanctuary.
I feel like I shouldn't have said that, but that's okay. All jokes aside, Roberto, I see you. Get out of my sideline.
I thought you were talking about ICE.
No. Although ICE is dangerous too. They will shoot you in Mexico. That's why I needed my passport. So if I ran backwards, I could hold up my passport, say, un Americano. And then the barista would make me a nice drink. Getting into Mexico was fine. It's the passport that gets you back from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, so he might surrender his passport. I don't really know what good that does because getting into Mexico, that's the easy part. and I don't think he's going to be trying to make his way
that's
back.
a 100% revoked bail. That's
Yeah.
there's no chance that you're getting bail on that.
Well, and so now he's got to do. The question is, does he do the fighting the extradition and say,
well, he's still in the States.
yes, but extradition from Texas to Maryland.
Oh,
And the argument you might make, if you were this guy, works a lot better from Maryland to Texas. Like, hey, don't send me back to Texas.
they had the death penalty.
They're
there.
going to murder me there. But hard to make that to a Texan judge when he's like, what? Worst you're looking at is 25 to life, boy. Let's get you in that car. Get you on your way back. Sorry. Like, listen, just be glad you didn't kill somebody here.
Your Honor, I'm a little bit offended that you said boy to me. And it's like, sir, you're in Texas. That's the best you're getting.
And I forgot the guy. Okay, so I forgot the guy was black. I didn't say boy in that. I meant it in a derogatory, like you're a criminal and I'm a judge and I speak down to you. But yes, the guy is. So I guess properly be uncle,
some guy
not boy.
I said some guy in the elevator today called me Junior. I was just like, that's an odd one I haven't heard in a while.
How was it, old guy?
No, he was like,
Was it the Ukrainian gangster on 7?
No,
I feel like he would do that.
He was a very tall African American man who was like getting in the elevator and going off on the parking level, and then he was just like,
Thanks, Junior.
Well, he walked in. He was like talking to his girl, and he sort of like backed into the elevator, and then he was about to like walk into me. So I just sort of put up like one hand just so he could like walk into the hand rather than into me. And then right before he made contact, he realized that like I was back there. He's like, "Oh, sorry so much. Yeah, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Oh, it's no problem. I was waiting for you." And then like when he left, he's like, "All right, have a good day, Junior." I'm just like, "All right,
what?
Well, thank you."
Cool.
I thought I just took it as a Griffey reference.
I'm sure that's exactly how he meant it too. Anyway, so the long story short of this is that after much news interviews and tweets and support from the community, a community which then turned on panhandlers because we were all scared of getting stabbed. And in fact, I think that was one of the comments I made. Like, this really sucks for people who need help because now everyone's going to turn their back on them.
Right.
And the mayor increasing panic by associating the squeegee boys with panhandlers.
Crime, yeah.
Yeah, who may be stabby you. After all of this, oh, by the way, and aren't there several officers now assigned to like squeegee boy duty where they
Something
show
like
up
that,
and
yeah.
arrest squeegee boys? Not taking them to school, arresting them. Pew. Golden age of Baltimore. America's city.
The thing that confuses me so much about Pew is how somebody can be so wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's one of those things like, I feel the same way about Trump. Like, I feel like at some point Trump has to say something.
Law of averages, right?
Law of averages. He has to say something right at some point along the way, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
he's just like, oh, we have a real big problem with coal in this country. It's just like, wow. Eventually it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. There's not enough of it, and we need more. Let's start importing coal for our factories. You're like, so close.
There it is.
Thought for
right,
sure.
Right
Thought
back
for
where
sure
we
had
started.
one. But no, I've been using this example a lot as I've gone through life for many things, but it's from the Bundy documentary, where on appeal, his lawyer says, hey, if there was a decision to be made and on one hand it benefited the state and on the other hand it benefited him, what you would find is that Ted, without fail, made the decision that benefited the state.
Yeah.
And that is why he needs a new trial. And I'm like, okay, during the actual documentary, I mean, I get that, and I'm I guess supportive of that idea. Again, I will tell you, I'm the guy who's like, when they start saying ineffective assistance, I'm like, oh, I was a worst lawyer. I did a horrible job. Because as a defense attorney, you want to give your attorney
Right.
But,
give your client another chance.
yeah, the best chance that you can, right?
Unless you hate the client, then you're just like, nope, I did everything I could.
Everything I possibly could. I mean, he may not understand how much pro bono work I did. It's not listed on the bill because I did it for free, which is also another thing.
I also wrote down the 25 times I told him not to do something, and then he ended up doing it. So I don't know.
What to tell you, sorry.
He told me to interrogate his ex-wife on the stand. I told him it wasn't a good idea. It wasn't going to be
the victim
beneficial.
blaming nonsense, you know. But no, I use that example a lot where I'm like, when there's a decision to be made, Ted always made the decision to benefit the state, and I feel like here's another example of that, right? Where like any decision that could be made, you make the decision to benefit. Or Catherine Pugh makes a decision that does not benefit her, that benefits whoever else it is. And I mean, even when there's no one to benefit, I guess it's just like who the one that harms the city the most. And you figure law of averages, you're going to get one right now and again.
One out at some point.
But no, just not. And you know, that being said, I say that, but maybe not. Maybe not. Because she may have made one good decision recently.
Well, I don't think she made this decision. I really don't.
And that's the caveat. I mean, in the end, she had to say yes, right?
Forced, yeah.
She had to say yes, but it's in the pre-show meeting we were discussing. It's like, now and of course we're talking about the new Baltimore police commissioner, who the final report,
Michael Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison. The final report came out in New Orleans, where he was formerly the police commissioner. Or chief. What did they have?
Yeah, they have some sort of weird, like they don't have like a police commissioner or a police chief, but they have like a superintendent of police department officials or something. Yeah.
And that's him. And they were also under a consent decree. And like the final report came out. Maybe it was just the final report under his administration, because I can't imagine they just released it. The happenstance now, but basically it was like, this is a model police department. It is a model of modern policing. And if anyone wants to know,
the very model of a modern police
every time I've said that twice, and both times I thought about that. But yeah, it's like, hey, if you want to build a good police department, this is the kind you should model it after in New Orleans. I'm like, oh, no, we got this guy, and we're under a consent decree. Like, I feel like this is perfect. But as I said outside, I imagine that, how does this guy not get chosen first? It's because Pugh says, or probably the FOP said, hey, that guy, Fitzpatrick, right? Fitzpatrick, the guy from Fort Worth?
Yeah.
That's the guy we want. And Pugh's like, okay, he seems all right to me. And then turns out, not so okay.
Yeah.
Pulls his name out. And then there is one staffer in the mayor's office who's like, you know, we're under a consent decree, and there's this guy with a city with a consent decree.
Old Billy, who's always right and never listened to.
Yeah, and then finally she's like, yeah, I guess let's try this guy out. And everybody
Billy
likes him.
a bone.
Right, everybody likes him, and turns out he might be doing good things for the city. And
by the way, I like, generally speaking, I like the reporters in Baltimore. I do have one problem, one little tiny slight problem, which is when somebody new comes to town, they love to just like slobber all over whoever the new person is.
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw one of them in like a tweet from one of the Sun reporters where it was like, it's like, Harrison decides to go to a neighborhood meeting rather than go out with his wife on their 37th wedding anniversary or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I remember like reading that and going like, I mean, it's nice that he went out on his anniversary and everything. But then also when you're at like 37 anniversaries, like I go to work on my birthday. Like it's not.
Honey, I got you flowers. What are you looking for exactly here?
We'll go to dinner on Saturday. I have a meeting tonight. It's like, oh, okay, sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
Just tell me ahead of time. I'm fine with that.
Also,
doing the anniversary on the anniversary. We can.
This is a guy who, when a city was put under a consent decree, brought peace to it. What are the chances he's with like the most normal woman you have ever met in your life? The woman who you can say, sweetie, listen, I got work tonight. You think we could maybe do this on Saturday? And she says, oh, yeah, no.
Actually,
no
Saturday works better for me.
I would love to go out with my girls tonight. Is that okay? Maybe. You do you.
I was kind of hoping to catch up on This Is Us while you were at this meeting.
Please do.
By all means.
Save me from that. Not unlike the. Well, I'll just say maybe I've had different experience in my life. That isn't so. Not.
I
that
will
way.
fucking kill you.
I mean, I have work I have to do. I don't really know if it's. I will burn that place to the ground. Okay. Cool.
Thanks.
All right. Anyway, but so maybe if you made one good decision, but I have this in the center of my being belief that she did not choose as him, and basically was like, I can't take another L. Find me somebody who's a win, please, and did it. But She was very outspoken about the murder of the community member.
Yeah.
And now I have not heard anything from her as far as the new news.
I believe she made some sort of statement along the lines of like, this is a despicable act, and the fact that it hurt trust in our community and blah, 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 blah.
Which
like,
she certainly did not help.
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, all of this is not, this can all sort of be tied to her in a way. Like, much like you could make a comparison of like, Trump picks on the media, and then all of a sudden someone decides to shoot up a newsroom. Like, that is a sort of cause and effect kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, Trump didn't obviously tell the guy to go to this newsroom on this particular day and shoot 15 people or whatever it was. But
You talk enough shit about the
you
media.
talk enough shit about it and make it seem like it's what he sort of wants, and then that's going to end up happening. Especially, the same thing sort of happens with Pew. If you start talking about like all these hooligan squeegee boys or the panhandlers who are killing the citizens, then people are going to be understandably unnerved by people who are standing on the middle of the street who are either trying to make a little bit of money or are homeless and trying to eat or get drugs or whatever they want to do. So,
and who am I to judge? As I said many times in college, a lot of my friends gave me shit about giving money to homeless people, and I said, they might spend the money on alcohol or drugs, but let's be honest, what was I going to spend it on?
I feel like the people who like criticize homeless people for how they spend their money like don't get the logic of like the karma sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel this way with cigarettes. Like someone comes up to me and asks me for a cigarette, unless I'm like down to like my last one or two or something like that, I'm always giving it away. People offer me money. I'm like, no, don't worry about
fine.
it. It's
there
okay.
will come a day when I will
been
need
there.
one. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, now see, I don't even think about I've been there. I think about there will come a day where I may need one.
Yeah.
And I believe in the universe that I've given out many, and when I need one, I'll
by
give one back.
by the I've been there, I mean like I will hope that one day when I'm out and I'm looking for someone to help me out, they will just say like, here, just take one, or not like charge me 50 cents for it or something.
Yes.
like.
Although in the city of Baltimore, that's a little hard to come
Get
by.
a Lucy.
But I think that you actually brought up an interesting point in the pre-show meeting, that this story has airs in the vein of the Jussie Smollett story, which we have not talked about because we have been talking about Oscars for the last 2 weeks while this has kind of been in the national news. And
I'm glad we didn't, because if we would have talked about it right away.
It would have been a hot take. We have a habit of doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think right now everything's kind of settled out with like, I don't know what the truth is. And I don't know if you have a position. I'm not going to take one. I
don't. So this is one of those cases to me where there are many problems with it on many different sides.
Yeah.
So obviously, if all the reports as they are out in the universe right now are true,
yes,
then he fabricated this story with the two Nigerian brothers.
If you believe the story as presented by the police department.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If that's the story that you're currently believing at this moment, then I understand why you're so angry at him and like why things are happening. But at the same time, there is a different argument that you could be making simultaneously about how the police department way overstepped on what's going on here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what it comes down to for me is, hey, how much money did we spend figuring out that he fabricated this story in a city with like the highest per capita murders in the country? Like, at what point are you, and if it was, I don't know, say you or me, at what point would the cops say, sir, we're never going to find this person who did this to you?
Filing a false police report is a crime that is charged so infrequently.
Oh yeah,
that I really was racking my brain to think of any time in the last like 20 years that I've actually heard.
It's only used in retribution. It's only used when they are targeting you for something. It's right. How can you be charged with resisting arrest when the only thing that happened is an officer grabbed you when they couldn't, and you said, "No, I'm not going to go with you. You have no right to take me." Like, that's not resisting arrest. You had no right to arrest me. Therefore, it's not resisting an arrest.
Yeah.
But and this is a very similar thing where it's like we have nothing else but he did involve the police. So he wasted our time and he maybe embarrassed us a little bit. But it's so hard to prove. Like, they're essentially trying to prove a negative. They're trying to prove that this story that he had told, if it is in fact a story, isn't true. But not only that, you have to prove that this is the truth of what happened. And from what I understand, there is basically 2 points for everything that's been argued. Yes, he gave them money. Could that money have been for other services? Could it have been for something else? Maybe. The 2 guys that he charged did, in fact, go buy rope. Did he know they were going to attack him? Did he not? I don't know. I don't know.
There's too many. Here's the real problem. There's too many things that are happening that are beyond our ability to understand at this moment.
Yes.
The time where we will truly understand the details of what the state has and what Jussie's defense of that will come out in the court.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we're not litigating things in the press is something that is done by people who are trying to gain an upper hand in a legal scenario.
Yeah.
The reason why the police went out and had this big, huge press conference and, sat down, the police commissioner sat down with Robin Roberts and everything like that the next day is because they want to be able to get out the story before. You remember when, what's her name? Baltimore DA.
Marilyn Mosby?
Their state's attorney. Yeah.
Yes.
Marilyn Mosby came out and detailed how the 6 cops beat or killed Freddie Gray.
Yep.
And
Get in front of the story.
how she got to charging them and everything like that. That was to taint a jury pool, essentially. I mean, she obviously would never say that out loud, but the idea is you say it on TV, which is being shown at the same exact time on CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox, everywhere.
Well, not Fox.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they showed it at some point saying like, look at this dangerous prosecutor overstepping her boundary.
Okay, yes, possibly that.
But I mean, it's the idea of her doing that is not to just announce the charges, because she could just do that. She could just go to the courthouse and press charges, and people would find out sooner rather than later that the charges were pressed.
Yep.
The idea of holding a press conference and explaining how they did it was to make people think before they go into the jury box how this happened.
Mm-hmm. And then the case is you have to not only prove the defense has to not only prove reasonable doubt, they kind of have to prove it didn't happen the way that the prosecutor has already kind of laid out.
Right.
And especially when you have weeks and weeks of thinking that's how it is, which is weird because they didn't get a single conviction in that case.
I brought up Robert Kraft earlier.
Yeah.
It's a joke mostly, but I mean, there's a very direct legal argument that could be made in this one too that sort of lines up with the Jussie Smollett case in a way. So Robert Kraft was, when it was announced that it happened, that he was arrested, it was in connection with a sex trafficking ring. Yeah. And they caught him on tape doing sexual acts with somebody.
Yes.
And everything was sort of vague, but sex ring was out there in full force.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, he knew nothing about the sex ring. Right. He just showed up for a hand job.
He went to a massage parlor.
Yeah.
And got a happy ending.
Yes. And apparently, the whole thing might be thrown out. Going back to the corresponding, there's 2 sides of this story, and one of them is a legal side of the story. He was arrested after he left, but they technically might not be able to have a good arrest on him because he had a driver.
Yeah.
So
and they pulled over the driver.
They pulled over the driver and then arrested Robert Kraft, saying that we saw you coming from this place.
Yeah.
But technically speaking, or legally speaking in Missouri, it's not a legal stop.
Yep.
So that whole thing might be thrown off on the technicality of he wasn't driving the car when he went away from the place. But I mean, there was a whole bunch of things.
Oh, to be white, isn't it nice?
There was an outrageous number of things that were involved with. This was not a good stop. This was not a good arrest, and there was too much information being put out into the public to sort of taint the story before it happened. And I'm not saying that he, honestly, I don't give a shit if anyone pays for a hand job. But at this point,
I mean, if we could put Robert Kraft in jail, I'm really happy about that. Just for many reasons.
I had a friend go, I hope this takes away some of the Super Bowls. I'm like, man, it's not going to go that far, but I wish.
Also, someone sent me a wonderful image this week that was a gentleman with a small salad pouring from a giant bottle of olive oil, and the bowl was labeled "normal conversation," and the gentleman was labeled "me," And the giant bottle of olive oil was like, how many problems could be solved by killing a few billionaires? And I'm like, it's pretty much right.
So funny how your Facebook is different from mine.
That's weird. Weird how you don't get things like that. But no, so going back to kind of
I wonder why.
the overarching point that these cases, whether or not they're true or not, do some damage. And obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the details are about the Baltimore murder case. I find it interesting, though, that Jussie Smollett's case is in a city where there was a black site. In the time that we've been doing this podcast, there was a CIA torture room in the city of Chicago, and I would argue it got less press than this case.
Oh, easily.
So there we go. Panama Papers, by the way. Less press than Jussie Smollett possibly filing a false police report. If you don't remember the Panama Papers, please check them out. Please check out that story.
Also, just as another one, just because we're going through old things that haven't been fixed yet, the state of Illinois, or the Cook County specifically, might end up spending more trying to prosecute Jussie Smollett than it would take to fix Flint's water. So that's another, just another thing we could fix while we're bothering. I mean, listen, in my mind, I don't really know who Jussie Smollett is. I'm not an Empire fan, so I don't know. I'm not familiar with his work.
Yes,
but this is it. I mean, he's done just based off of this.
Probably. In the end, it may or may not have been done to increase his salary, which I don't really get the connection. I'm not really sure how that was going to work out.
If he's more in the news, maybe, then perhaps like the idea that if he can break through and get some news coverage and he's a everyday name, then maybe he could get paid more, I guess, is logic.
I think the argument that I'm hearing is that he wanted more money for security. So it was like, hey, I need to get security. So why don't you pay me more? I'll pay the security. And then
see, but the problem is if everything as the police have laid it out is true, then it was really dumb how he did it because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yes.
Writing a check to people for crimes is not the best course of action.
If there's one thing I want you to learn from 2019, it's why the fuck is anybody writing checks anymore? Stop it. Just getting caught doing dumb shit.
Just reminds me of the Trump Cohen tape that was released where it's just like, what do we give her a bag of cash? And Cohen's like, no.
No.
No, we don't. We don't do that. That's not a way that this happens.
One last thing, though, while we're still in Baltimore corner, not really, I guess, a non sequitur, but Baltimore cop overdosed on drugs, on heroin in Aberdeen. Sad story, one, because drugs are terrible and they ruin life, but
especially heroin.
But I'm always reminded when I see these stories about from 2-3 years ago, the whole next time you need a cop, why don't you call a crackhead? And then every time there's a story about a cop who's abusing drugs or a drug dealer in the GTTF case.
Yeah,
I just think
the guy who went up to Philly and
bought drugs to bring back down to sell. Yeah, I just think, anyway, so it's sad. It's sad that a cop is addicted to drugs and isn't that. We know some people who have had their lives ruined by heroin, and it's sad, but also kind of ironic. So.
I guess nobody's too high to fall, I guess, is the overall.
Yeah, by the way, that officer, I don't believe that he died. I do believe that he is in the hospital and he is on administrative leave. And do you know what that means?
Still getting paid?
Still getting paid.
Yeah.
Overdose from heroin in another jurisdiction, paid leave. So...
Though that could I think in cases like this though, just as a point of order, I guess.
Yes.
Point of inquiry. Point of inquiry. I think they do have to technically still pay him under the collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
But the idea is that if the minute they put him on administrative leave, all of that money is questionable as to whether or not it will remain his.
Yeah.
So the idea being that we're technically going to give you the money, but sort of think of it as money that might be in an escrow that you might have to pay back if
my
shit hits
understanding
the wall.
is that a lot of times the city or the state pays the FOP and the FOP pays him, and then if the money needs to get paid back or any portion of it does, the FOP basically gives the city or the state back the money, and then says, you were one of our guys, so we paid you out of the kindness of our hearts if that's what happens.
Like Wayne Jenkins.
Yeah. If he has a heart, sure. Anyway, so that's about it for the Baltimore Corner.
where you get that straight dope.
Just ask the cops. Anyway, wait, we're making our way back, and there we go. So another thing that we really wanted to cover this week, what I wanted to cover, I don't know if Cory does, of course, is a little sports ball. And there's a lot of reasons
to use all the drops today.
There's a lot of reasons to talk about sports ball, but and I want to get into a couple of the things. Cory doesn't want to talk about the Giants CEO and all of the allegations against him.
I would rather just wait, please.
I mean, we can absolutely wait. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's because
Because I have personal problems of my own and I want to discuss them on the podcast.
No, I was just gonna say that
that's the logic Rob was throwing at me.
Occasionally, we all got to deal with a drunk broad, and she makes a scene in public, and nobody wants to get caught on tape doing that. Cory's just not famous. That's why nobody rolls tape when he's like, "Get up, let's go."
Not yet, at least.
And some girl we know is just yelling it down the block, like, "Get the Uber, bitch!" I'm cold. Carry me. New Year's 2016. Anyway. Oh, wait, I guess it was 2017, right? New Year's technically 2017.
Yeah, 2016 to 2017.
Yeah.
It was the 2016-2017 season of New Year's.
I did not fall down.
She says as she's falling.
Yes. So sometimes we just, it's a difference about being famous or not, whether or not you end up on tape. So forgetting that, I wanted to talk about sports ball because you are having a new exciting venture in your life.
Well, it's not a new venture in the sense that I've played hockey before.
Yes, but you went from a temperate climate to a subtropical climate, and somehow decided, you know what, I'm going to take up a winter sport.
Well,
I'm going to take up a winter sport and start doing it in March, which also is kind of ironic.
You know, it's so funny. I played hockey when I was young, mostly of the roller variety, and then I would play pickup hockey in Maryland, but then I just for whatever reason I couldn't figure out how to get into a league.
Okay.
It seemed like whenever I said I should look into a leagues had already started kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So a buddy of mine said that I just saw on Facebook he was looking for people to fill out his team on his league.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm in. I'd love to get back into playing hockey and get into hockey shape. By the way, I can tell you after one game, definitely not in hockey shape.
I was going to ask you if you're in hockey shape now.
100% not in hockey shape.
Well, and as a what is that thing we used to say? Side note? No. Sidebar. Lent coming up now.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe good inspiration. Lent together with getting in hockey shape.
I'm so torn though. I'm
your ACL.
I'm vacillating.
Like your UCL.
I'm vacillating so much on Lent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like doing it or not.
Yeah.
Yep. So you heard it here first. Baker clan. Cory. Deciding whether or not to participate in Lent.
I think I'm the only one in the Baker clan who's followed Lent.
I mean, that's also probably true.
A decade.
But yeah.
But
I mean, maybe
it's
no soda, no cigarettes for Lent.
It's like when you sent me that article about the Catholic Church, having the next problem with the Catholic Church is all the priests who father children.
Yeah.
And
those children getting old enough to.
Yeah. Just being orphaned children basically because the priests can't take care of them. They got to just let them go kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I love Frankie so much. I really do. I think I really feel like he has the best interest of the religion at heart, but I don't want to support Catholicism right now.
Okay.
It's like,
how about supporting your health under the guise of supporting God? Listen, how about it? I mean, you can talk to whatever man in this invisible man in the sky you want. Just don't drink soda for a month and a half and quit smoking.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I have a day to figure out whether.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Give it up.
Tomorrow's Mardi Gras, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, So forgetting about all that though,
Or I could just give up alcohol. It'll be the easiest thing I give up the whole time.
you're supposed to suffer. That's the whole point. But forgetting about all that, Saturday.
You get an exception on St. Patrick's Day, so that's the only one I need.
Saturday was your first outing, and I know you said you're not in hockey shape. And how did it go otherwise?
I mean, it went fine. It went fine. I had a lot of fun playing. Part of the problem with hockey is it's one of those things that like it's best played when you have your timing right.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you watch people do like floor dance routines and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like when the timing is perfect, it all works out the best. When you haven't skated in a while, you haven't played hockey in years.
Yeah.
My timing was not there. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of decisions I made where I was just like, my legs feel like they're going to break off. So trying to power skate backwards is not in the cards right now. So there was a lot of me like sort of like trailing skaters, like skating forward the whole time.
Well, I mean, luckily though, you're on the ice like 2 minutes at a time or less, right?
Except that we were shorthanded. We only had one bench player. So
no trading lines.
It was a lot of ice time.
Which generally would be good. Like a year from now, you'd be like, "Oh, great, one bench player. I'm happy to be on the ice."
It's funny. It was a bunch of guys like sort of joined our team for this 1 week because we were short.
Yeah,
and there were people who played in the game right before, so they finished playing a game of hockey and then played another game of hockey following it.
Yeah.
And one of the guys was just like, "Yeah, I played 2 games last night too. I'm pretty sore." I'm just like, Jesus, man.
Come on, man.
And then I'm out there like
I can only get so
2 minutes
erect,
in.
all right?
2
Calm
minutes
down.
in, I'm just like vacuuming in wind, like.
Well,
like we're in the third, right? It's like no, we just started the game 2 minutes ago. I'm like,
you're skating away from the first. What's it called? Where you sit?
Face off.
Face off. You're skating away from the first face off. What is wrong with you?
That was the other thing too, because like I every level of hockey I've ever played has been like non-referee hockey.
None on referee.
Like no referee on
okay.
like so it's sort of like pickup basketball, like where you play with
Blood
a bunch.
fouls?
Yeah, like you just don't check people. That's basically the rule. Like
Okay.
don't check anyone. We're all gonna play a nice friendly game of hockey. We don't have to get serious.
Were they doing check-in?
No, there wasn't any. I didn't see any checking. I did pull a Canadian hockey player though, and like run into people a couple times and be like, "Sorry,
Sorry,
I didn't mean to hit you." The people going like, "It's you barely touched me."
I'm just trying to skate straight, bro. I don't know. I was yelling, "Get out of my way!"
Just trying to keep my
what?
ankles from snapping. It's okay. What was but yeah, so it had been a while since I played like a game that had so many rules like being followed.
Yes.
And it's one of those things like for whatever reason, like I was on the ice and I was just like, where the fuck am I supposed to be? like I know where I'm supposed to be kind of, but then I was just like, when you don't like, it's like when you don't play for a while, you forget about like where you're supposed to line up around the face-off circle and stuff like that, like based off of what position, like, and we were just like sort of running in and taking over whatever position was open. So I'd be like out there going like, am I right wing? Am I left wing? Am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be there?
I mean, it was basically like you were playing 4 and 5-year-old hockey, just like crash the net and all right, it's face off time. Somebody get in the middle. Let's
Except
do this
I
thing.
wasn't crashing the net because I was skating so slowly. I was behind everybody in the action.
Oh well, whatever it takes, I guess, right?
Just next time I'll crash the net. And
just crash the net every
hope
time.
that a puck just comes in. I can just poke it in.
Like, all right, listen, I'm just gonna be crashing the net every time. Just feed it into me. I'm gonna just hit the puck and just hope for the best.
My best hope is I get some sort of breakaway in a game, and then I just Ovechkin myself. Like, remember when he like was sliding across the ice and he like throws it over your shoulder? That's my best hope at this point.
I want to take a little time though, also to talk about a short time. Former Oriole, former Dodger, current Padre, or soon to be Padre, soon to be no, current Padre.
He's currently signed.
Current Padre.
Yeah.
And look like
officially
Padre
on the roster
for a long time, or maybe a season or two until they can't afford his contract and then they sell his contract to someone else, like New York. But generally speaking, Manny Machado, of course,
yes,
who had some words I think taken out of context. I know you wanted to discuss it this week, but I mean, so in the end, He was quoted as, well, I mean, I guess I don't want to misquote him.
Should I pull up
I didn't take it as negative, and that's the whole thing. Like, I saw the controversy build after I saw the comments. I'm like, that's not what he said. Like, why is everybody getting all worked up? But generally, he said something about like not feeling love from the team, which wasn't him saying anything about the city. He clearly loved Baltimore, and he felt like they gave him love. But the team, I mean, I'm guessing that when everything wrapped up with Los Angeles, he went back to his agent and said, "Hey, go talk to Baltimore and see what they're offering. On the table's 10-year, $300 million. What do you got?" And Peter Angelo said, and that was the end of that. So he didn't feel like he was getting a lot of love from the team, and I get that. And he went somewhere that was going to pay him. I don't fault him for that. I mean, unlike Nick Markakis, who left Baltimore for $4 million over.
Okay, here we go.
1 extra year. Yes.
He saw the July trade that sent him from Baltimore to Los Angeles as a referendum on who wanted him. The Dodgers this is the quote now. The Dodgers last year, they showed me some love, he says. The Orioles drafted me. I did a lot of things for the community. I did a lot for the state, and they didn't show me a lot of love. A little bit of love. It is what it is. But going over to LA giving up a lot of prospects for me, that kind of shows you what I meant to them, which is amazing.
Right. Now, again, nothing about the cities. That's completely about the teams themselves. And
like the ownership and how much they're willing to invest in him and blah, blah, blah.
I don't fault him for that at all. I think that he is absolutely right. That the Dodgers said, hey, we're going to give up a bunch of prospects to get him in here to get the push.
Yeah.
And then it came time for this year, and clearly they weren't going to pay him what he was asking. Also, by the way, he played a position that he didn't want to play for most of his time in Baltimore. For what reason? Because we had an old broken down guy. God,
he was
an old broken down guy in the position.
He was a platinum glove third baseman, and we had a gold glove shortstop. There was no reason to move things around at that time.
He didn't want to play there. How about that? He's the future of your franchise. Maybe he takes less money if you are giving him what he wants.
Here's where I differ. I think that I might understand why Manny would possibly say that the fans didn't give him the love.
No, I think the fans gave him plenty of love.
I can understand where he's coming from because I've been conflicted about this with Manny the entire time he's been an Oriole. And let me explain a little bit.
Okay.
It's like if you're in a relationship with somebody in like college or something like that, and you sort of know that you're dating with an expiration date on it. Like, we're not going to...
That doesn't sound like anybody I know.
We're going to, like, we're both in... we're taking a year abroad in Rome, and you meet some girl in Rome, but she's not going to move back to the United States to be with you. So you're dating some girl there, but you know it's not going to last.
It's like
a summer camp
romance, man.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know that it's just not going to last beyond whatever the time frame is, and that's fine. You can enjoy all that time that you spend with them, but it's hard to really feel like that true commitment with somebody unless you know that they're going to be around,
right?
Or unless you expect them to be around.
I mean, 5 years isn't enough.
I think everyone in Baltimore realized that we were going to have Manny for the 5-6 years, and that he was going to go because the Orioles just aren't capable of paying him.
Okay,
they're not capable of having a $30 million a year contract on the roster.
So if you knew a relationship only had 5 years, you're comparing summer camp romance, which is what the Dodgers had with Manny.
No,
right?
but I'm saying like
what we had, which is a long-term romance.
Fans aren't dumb though; they know that it's not going to be a long-term thing. And why commit yourself to something like? I mean, like part of the reason why Cal was so loved by the Baltimore fans is because we knew he was never going anywhere.
Yes,
like the Orioles were going to do whatever they needed to do to keep him.
He also
happy.
Wasn't asking for $300 million over 10 years.
It's a different market, yes, obviously. But I'm saying the way that they paid players back then.
I mean, listen, Cal Ripken Jr. comes up today.
Yeah.
The 83, instead of playing whenever in 83, he comes up today the same year as Manny Machado. So you have Manny Machado and Cal Ripken coming up on the same teams. Cal Ripken Jr. coming up on the same teams. How much is he asking for?
Cal?
Yeah. Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, we have the same short-term romance. I mean, because the rules were different in 83 too about arbitration and free agency, and those things have gotten a little tighter. So he's on his rookie contract just like Manny is. What is he asking for coming out of his rookie contract?
See, I think he wants to get paid fair, but I think Cal would prefer to stay.
But I mean, also let's also put into
Like
this
I mean,
fact
like
that
it's like there's a lot of talk about Trout when he becomes a free agent.
Yeah.
Because Trout really likes like his peace and quiet.
so like being in Anaheim.
Whenever he's not in Anaheim, he's in New Jersey, in
Yeah.
a small town where he grew up, where there's 40 people who all know who he is already and don't bother him.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of talk that he might be willing to take less money than what he deserves to play with the Phillies.
Just to be close to home.
Just to be close to home.
Okay.
And that's been something that's sort of been like whispered about with Mike Trout for a long time.
Yeah, but that's like a beast mode thing where he's like, it turns out he hasn't spent a single dime of what he earned as an NFL player.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's smartly using his money.
Yeah.
And Trout's the same way. He's like, hey, I get asked for $300 million.
Trout's very humble about his. Yeah, he just lives a very easy life. But
I'll take $250 million instead of $300 over 10 years and go to Philadelphia and also live in the house that I've been living in for the last 10 years that cost me $60,000 in nowhere, New Jersey.
Yeah.
That I turned into a McMansion. It's filling
By
the entire
buying
1 acre
15 other
lot.
properties.
Yeah, I'm just buying up $40,000 properties all around it. Total cost $170,000.
There's one property in the middle of it all, and the prison's just like, well, Mr. Trout, seems like we're in a bit of a predicament.
It's like, everybody knows me here, man. What are you doing to me? Come on.
No, but I would argue clearly Machado's not feeling the love comment is something that's dedicated to the front office personnel.
Yes.
Because the people in Baltimore loved him just fine. Just the right amount.
Yeah.
People in LA, I feel like, were completely oblivious to Manny Machado.
That's
like,
how we are.
like,
That's how everybody is for everything now.
And like once the World Series was over, it's just like, all right, well, Manny Machado's gone. It's like never even a second thought. Like we're gonna bring him back. Like,
nope.
Why would you?
And
why would we need Manny Machado back?
Half the people on the team are that way, though. Like if you ask anybody who is not a diehard season ticket Dodger fan, they're just gonna be like, oh well, I mean, we got the guy with the hair, right? No, he left. The guy.
I liked a Machado.
Yeah, we had the one of the pitchers though. What's the pitcher's name? Yeah, we got him. He won the glove. What's it called?
The glove.
He won the award with the glove. I don't know. I feel like he's important. Anyway, we got him. I mean, we're probably fine. Other than that, like literally,
it's Brian Wilson, the guy who had all those saves, right?
I have had conversations with people where they are describing Clayton Kershaw to me, and I'm like, he is the only thing that your team really needs to survive. I mean, he, like, World Series aside, he like will carry your team along, and you don't know his name. Don't act like you're a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just LA. I think that's just how LA is. They don't give a shit about anything.
I oftentimes wonder how many people driving into Dodger Stadium ask somebody in the car who Vin Scully is.
I mean, 100% they do. But
I mean,
ironically,
100% happens on the way to at least once on the way to every game that they have. There's somebody who's just like, who's Vin Scully?
I mean, based on the age, yes, but ironically, people may know Vin Scully better than they do anybody in the history of the team because they actually heard him more often than they heard any other name.
True.
Because he introduced himself before every game and during the game. Like, you were here with Vin Scully live on the radio. Anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like, that's the town. That's the town LA is. You know the radio personality better than you know anybody in the history of the team. Yeah. I don't know who Clayton Kershaw is. Hey, do you know who Vin Scully? Yeah.
Of
He's
course
the guy from the radio. Yeah,
Of
right?
course I know who fucking Vin Scully
Why
is.
wouldn't I know who he is? You don't know the pitcher who has carried your team for the last 4 or 5 years. No, I'm not aware. I'm not aware.
Some guy?
He's a guy.
Some guy, Hershaw?
Herschel. Anyway, so...
yeah, I know who he is. Hershiser.
Yeah.
He's great.
Oral Hershiser. God damn, take it back. But my whole point is this.
Clayton Hershiser.
Baltimore, this is why we don't deserve nice things. This is why we don't get nice things. Because you can't a breakup at all. Manny's talking about the kid. You're the best, the loudmouth ass best friend who's just like your friend gets broken up with, and you're like the guy talks a little shit about you, about the person they broke up with, and you're like, oh, that's right, yeah. Well, we didn't even like you to begin with, so go fuck yourself. I'm like, bitch, I wasn't even talking about you. I don't know who the fuck you yelling at over here. But anyway, I'm moving on to the hot blonde girl. And by hot blonde girl, I mean, the beaches of San Diego.
Yeah.
So, San Diego.
A whale's vagina.
German for a whale's vagina.
But I don't think the Orioles did anything wrong in this situation. Manny was never going to. There was nothing you could do. You could have lit JJ Hardy on fire and sent him into a lake. Let Manny Machado start at shortstop from the beginning. Pay him way more than he ever wanted in arbitration.
No, I mean,
even though you had no reason to do so, and he still would have left
if they paid
and
him.
then he still would have found some sort of reason to go. Like
if they paid him, he went to San Diego. If they paid him $302 million over 10 years, he would have stayed.
Yeah,
or he would have come back.
Yeah, but I think it's clear that it's not worth. there's no point in really paying Manny Machado $300 million.
Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I guess we'll see in the next 10 years, huh?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
I know who there wasn't worth paying. Chris Davis. How about that? How about that huge mistake?
Also, that Bryce Harper contract, which is signed since we last spoke.
Oh, I didn't even.
A bit scary.
I didn't see Bryce Harper's contract.
13 years, $330 million, no opt-outs.
They have to pay him the whole thing?
13 years with Philly, no trade clause, no opt-outs.
Woo.
Yeah, so he's basically signed in for the long haul with the Phillies.
How much is guaranteed?
$330 million. All of baseball contracts are guaranteed.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought, it's not guaranteed if there's an opt-out or a trade clause because you can.
Yeah, because it's only guaranteed up until that point if they decide to opt out.
Yes.
But then it could potentially be.
So if he gets injured tomorrow,
they're
on the hook for $330 million.
Well, technically the insurance company is.
I guess. But I mean, like, if he gets injured this first season, he can sit on the bench.
That was what the Yankees were trying to do with A-Rod at the end, where he's just like trying to come back from injuries. He's like, I think I can make an honest go, but it's just like,
sit it down.
No, you know what? If you can't do it, it's fine too.
You're okay. You're okay. Just stay there. It's fine. Yeah.
Really like Northwestern to pay this $75 million left on your contract.
Can you just imagine like a Theismann, like a broken leg on the field this season?
Yeah.
And just like the owner's just like, I'm ruined. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Why did I spend so much money on the Washington Redskins?
He's on the phone just like, yeah, can I get the PR guy for the Giants CEO? I'd really like that right now, actually. Thank you. Dig me out of anything. It'd be great.
Hi, Daniel Snyder, owner of the Redskins. So this insurance on athletes, and is there some sort of retroactive policy that
he breaks his leg on national TV, and you're working at Northwestern Insurance.
Within 30 seconds, you get a phone call. It's just like, yeah, I'd like to put a coverage on one of my players. Sure. Just bring him in for a physical, and we'll have it all set. Yeah, do we really need to go through all that red tape?
I mean, I got his physical from just a couple weeks ago. Is that going to be suitable or no?
I mean, I can show you footage of him from hours ago. I'll get onto the field.
No, don't watch it. You don't need to turn the game on. No, don't turn it on. It's fine. I can send you the video. It's fine. Yeah, it'll be good.
Doesn't he play in the same division as Lawrence Taylor? Not anymore. I mean, what?
All right. So we had a lot of other stuff we didn't get to. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's lightning round all of this.
Okay.
I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute. That's a calculator, not a clock. Okay, wait. Let me get to the clock. The symbols look very similar.
Set it for 60.
The symbols look very similar. All right, I'm going to set a timer for one.
Just do 60 and then -1, -1 over and over again until eventually.
0, 1 minute. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So, first topic on the agenda is the new Democratic presidential candidates. Go.
Hickenlooper of Colorado
Yes.
and Incy of Washington. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah, guys, stop it. Just stop it.
I think that it's fun if a presidential candidate wants to go in and just shake things up a little bit. I mean, that was basically what Bernie was trying to do last time. He was
by the way,
I know
Bernie's
I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna talk about democratic socialism, and maybe I can switch the party around a little bit.
Yep, and
then
Bernie's
that
in.
happened wonderfully.
Bernie's in now, since we last talked. Bernie, stay out. We don't need you. Pete Buttigieg, who's, again, my second choice after Mark Zuckerberg is in. But I
And
think
you're burn it all down to the ground category of...
for what it's worth, though, I think Pete is going to be the Bernie of this election. He's
Yeah.
young and he's full of fire and brimstone. He's put him on the damn stage. By the way, made my first donation in 10 years to a political campaign. to Pete. So I'm down for it. Not that I really back him or I think he's going to win. I just want him to get on stage. That's it.
I would say that if you were the best case for a Hickenlooper or an Isley is that they bring more conversation to the topics that are important to them. Like so specifically with Isley, it's the environment and Green New Deal and everything like that. And maybe you can get Hickenlooper out there to sort of talk about like, you know, legalizing marijuana or something like that.
Sure.
Like,
that sounds like it's...
I mean, like, honestly, I don't really remember anything else that Hickenlooper's done other than that. So it's sort of a one-issue thing with him, I think.
Well, I mean, and maybe he just wants to bring attention to it. I'm down with that, too. All right, next topic. Cohen testimony. Go.
The only person who is allowed to speak anymore is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she's the only one who decided to come prepared for this thing.
But I do like that our discussion about the Cohen testimony had nothing to do with his actual testimony. It was like, what kind of bullshit was the questions that were asked of him?
Oh my God. The Republicans are just so fucking ridiculous. There was one guy who actually asked questions that like I was legitimately interested in, and it was only about like jurisprudence stuff. Like it's just about the Cohen being a bad lawyer, and every other Republican either spent their time like going like, why should we believe you? Why should we listen to a thing you say? Except for fucking what's his face who brought up the
Mark Meadows.
Yeah, Mark Meadows who brought up Trump's African American friend to literally just stand next to him, and then when somebody says, by the way, I think it was kind of racist to have somebody stand next to you as a prop, he was just like, how dare you call me racist? I have black grandkids and blah, 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 blah. And just for the future, I'll wrap this one up quick. Just for the future, I can understand that Republicans are upset that Cohen is up there testifying and saying bad things about the president. But everyone needs to get together. There needs to be a huddle with the Democrats and the Republicans before this thing begins. Probably like a week before this thing begins, where they say like, all right, here's all the things that we need to discuss over the time that we have allotted. So AOC, you take this part. Cummings, you take this part. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you get the fuck out of here because you're the whole reason.
This is the only reason we're here now. I
really wish, if anything, I wish that Debbie Wasserman Schultz just walked out, or when it was her time, she was just like, so who do you think is more responsible for the position we're in right now, me or you?
I will say, though, the one thing I learned from this is that Trumpers, there's going to be no convincing them because much like 1984, the book, we are at war with East Asia. We've always been at war with East Asia because everyone I talked to this week was like, Cohen, no, I always hated him. And I'm like, I feel like if I go through your thing, I'm going to hear like a lot of support, especially 2015, 2016, about how Cohen is going to be the savior of this campaign. And now you're all like, oh, you're the worst thing ever. You're like a liar and we should never believe. Like, you literally are the worst thing. You people, you Trumpers are the worst thing that's ever happened to American politics.
I really do think the shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue thing is not that far off.
No, not for that contingent of the people. Yeah. They literally would defend him no matter what. Yeah. All right, so
they would argue he didn't shoot anybody. We could have it on tape. We could have
that's not him.
We could have everything. Yeah. We could have him walking with his passport open as he's doing it, and there's not going to be a point in even having that conversation.
Speaking to those things, Trump and North Korea had a summit.
North Carolina,
going to raise up. North Korean summit in Vietnam, which went remarkably well.
By remarkably well, you mean not well at all?
I mean, no, it went well for Kim Jong Un.
Art of the deal.
Yes. Yeah. The guy who cannot be beat. Anyway, so there was discussions. Trump apparently left them.
Yeah, walked out.
Yeah.
But listen, it's fine. You walk out of negotiations. That happens all the time. The only thing you happened to do at the same time was elevate one of the biggest mass dictators we have in this entire globe to the same place that you would put like Angela Merkel by having one-on-one meetings with them to discuss, important matters of state. So
I'll keep my own feelings about North Korea to the side because we are going to lightning round this. But yes, in the end, you got embarrassed by a guy who can't get a meeting with anybody.
Yeah,
and you said, "Oh, I'm going to elevate myself by a meeting with him," and he embarrassed you. Yep. Multiple times now. Twice. Yeah. Twice he's embarrassed you. So good job. And nothing accomplished. at all, right? Coming out of that,
nothing
got done.
And everything since the first one had been breaking down, which is why they wanted to have the second face-to-face meeting.
Yes.
Thinking that like Trump would be able to like, because to anybody who doesn't know how Korea works with these nuclear weapons and stuff like that, they make some sort of gesture saying like, oh, we've decided to destroy this place where we had our nuclear warheads for so long. We're not going to be producing them anymore. And then they start getting a little bit of sanction relief for doing something good. And then you find out that they just moved the warheads to another place and then says, all right, well, can we send in UN inspectors to see that? And it's just like, we will fucking bomb you if you send UN inspectors into here. And then it starts all over again. The whole process, sanctions, we fix something, get sanctions released. We'd like to check your work. No, fuck you.
When do the sanctions start for the United States making and holding nuclear weapons?
Listen, I'm fine with giving up all new. I think the talks that have been happening prior to Trump that have become largely derailed since then.
The Russian United States
of a zero nuclear future was a good one.
Yep.
But you really have to have everyone play by the same rules to be able to. It's like the same people who like complained about landmines. Like I would be absolutely fine to get rid of landmines, but the problem is that you need to have them in the DMZ.
I disagree. And if you guys want to check out foundingthefuture.us, you'll see a better explanation of why that is not true. So one more topic. Well, let's see what we can get to. But the Democrats have started basically the impeachment proceedings as of today. Trump by investigating Trump World, which was a weird story to walk in and see on the TV.
Yeah,
what's that about?
It's not a great. I don't know if that's Cuomo's people or if that's somebody in the Democrats who came up with that, but Trump
both.
World does not work.
Yeah.
It's basically a list of 80 people who the Congress needs to see everyone's financial records and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically anyone you could think could possibly be involved in it is involved in it. So a bunch of people in the Trump organization. Trump Jr., Don Jr., Eric, Melania, Ivanka? Jared, all these people.
Ivanka, shut the fuck up. Literally, anything I've seen you saying over the last 2 weeks has been nonsense.
By the way, you want to hear wonderful this week in throwing your wife under the goddamn bus?
Sure, yeah.
Trump spoke for 2 hours at CPAC and like this ridiculous speech. And at one point during it, he said, in front of the entire crowd, right before I fired James Comey, I had a long conversation with Melania about whether or not I should do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, well, there goes Melania spending a whole ton on legal bills coming up. Way to get your wife indicted.
Thanks for involving her in the obstruction of justice. I appreciate that. Thanks, Donald.
She's going to spend an entire day in front of a grand jury and instead of in Barbados or something like that.
Or wherever the hell she is. Okay, wait. Well, let me see if I can reset.
Where
reset this.
In the world is Melania Trump?
Okay. Republican Center. I don't know if you saw this story. Republican Center quotes Benito Mussolini. Any thoughts? Senator John Corwin on Twitter quotes Benito Mussolini. I wish I had the tweet. I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But no reaction. No reaction from anyone at all. And basically all of left Twitter was just like, really? Really? Okay.
What I find funny about this is just like I had a conversation earlier today about like how for as long as they've been a party, essentially, the Democrats have been more likely to be the fuck the police party.
Yes.
And the Republicans have been more likely to be the pro law enforcement party. And now Trump's in charge or in trouble with the FBI, and the Republicans are the fuck the police party.
Yeah.
And the Democrats are like, let's go after the FBI. And now we have Republicans quoting Mussolini.
I
just don't even
what's going on?
What
is
world
going
we
on?
live in anymore? Like it'd be just like tomorrow. Trump's just like, hey, yeah, by the way, abortions are cool now. And it's just like a bunch of Republicans are like, well, thank God that's off my back.
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about that one anymore.
Literally reminds me of the Chappelle Show thing where it's Obama. Oh no, is it Chappelle? No, it was God. Am I getting these fucking people confused? Was it Key and Peele? Yeah, Key and Peele, where it's like Obama sitting across the table. He's like, you know what I'm for? Everybody should have guns. Should be easy to get them. And the Republicans on the other side are like, no,
I disagree.
We should have really strong limits on guns. And he's like, oh, if you guys want it, I guess.
You're really bending my arm on this one.
Whew. All right. So we are agreed on abortion, though, right? Illegal. All 50 states.
I disagree.
Was that Chappelle Show or was that Key and Peele?
That was Key and Peele.
Right?
Yeah.
It was Jordan Peele, who is now the master of horror and thrillers, pretending to be the president of the United States.
Yeah, because Chappelle came before Obama.
Yes.
His show was over before Obama.
I know, but I
because
feel like
they
it
had
was-
this skit where it was just like, they won't ever let us have a black president.
Because I thought I couldn't remember if it
Did
was.
you sell nukes to North Korea? What? What'd you say, son? Get out of here.
I couldn't remember if it was Peele's Obama or if it was Chappelle's like black president getting in trouble, and it's just like he literally just has to tell you the opposite of what he wants, and everybody would be like, no, do
Space
that,
bitches.
Yeah, that's right. Aliens are real. Anyway,
It's like Morgan Freeman. Like, yeah.
one more topic. Things that are awesome about having weird third-party candidates. Andrew Yang, do you know Andrew Yang?
No.
Guy running for president as a third party, brought up universal basic income and put out a 40-second video which explained universal basic income and how it has a zero impact on the economy. And I actually heard the 22-year-olds I work with talking about this video this week, and I was very excited about it. Do you know about universal basic income?
Yeah, I know about universal basic.
And you're not a fan?
No.
Do you know the economics of it?
Yes.
I encourage you to watch Andrew Yang's video. It's amazing.
I'll give it a watch, but not to piss on the on the basic income, universal basic income idea, but there are some people that I know that do not deserve more money than they currently have.
Oh Lord, here we go.
And
Deserve.
I am not trying to inflate them with money that they don't need or deserve, because it'll just go towards their criminal enterprises, and I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. Well, and one last thing. Speaking of money that people don't deserve, I am really finding it hilarious as the Trumpers are starting to do their taxes and they're figuring out how much they got screwed on the tax cuts. Yeah. So, by the way, for me,
Except for if you're Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I was
You're
gonna
just
say, for me-
"Woo, nothing again.
for me, big impact or medial impact both years. Got a little bit of a break and a little bit of an impact. But for most of the people I know who are voting for Trump, who are making, $22,000 a year, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that you might have been using as write-offs, gone. Mm-hmm. And all that money you got back last year, you're paying it this year.
Yeah, it's like the episode of The West Wing where they talk about the tax rebate and like how that works. And Charlie's like, I got a refund last year. Aren't I supposed to get a refund this year? It's like, no, you got a refund last year because we paid for it out of the taxes this year.
Yeah, so now everybody's getting taxed this year. Well, not everybody, because as you supremely pointed out, Jeff Bezos, once again,
Probably
this year.
probably not fishing around for pennies on the couch.
To be fair, I bet you he can write off all the losses he's about to get in that divorce, because he's about to be splitting that wealth.
Yeah.
So good for him. Maybe that's why they're not doing HQ2.
Maybe.
Maybe they're going to do Amazon, keep Amazon HQ1, and his wife's going to set up, Amazon Part D in the headquarters somewhere else.
Wouldn't it be funny if he just like decided like he had some sort of ruse where he's just like, so let's just say at an argument there's only 100 shares of Amazon stock.
Yes, yeah,
And
for
he's
round
just
number's
like for round number's sake, and he's just like, you know what, I want to make this easy enough. I'm willing to offer you 99 shares of Amazon stock just to get this all done. And then the lawyer's just like, yeah, deal, sure,
I'll take
they
it.
all sign off, and then it's just like, yeah, by the way, we're not Amazon anymore, and now we're Flickster.
Yeah.
We do the same thing, only we're called Flickster now, so that stock's useless. See ya, bitch.
I mean, I feel like the lawyers would do some due diligence and
They try and figure this situation
Yeah.
out first, why they're getting such a sweetheart deal. Like,
valued at whatever. Or I think the more likely thing is that Jeff says.
I've started a new company. It's going to compete directly with Amazon. It's called Fuck My Bitch. Fuck My Wife.
Fuck my bitch of an ex-wife. I feel like the more likely scenario.
People shopping at fuckmywife.com at alarming numbers.
I feel like the more likely scenario is he actually gives her 99% of the shares, because the house of cards that is Amazon, where we're not actually making a profit on anything, is just about to collapse, and he just doesn't want to be left holding the bag.
To be fair, they're finally making a profit, but it's amazing.
Yeah, because they brought on Whole Foods. They brought in an actual brick and mortar store, and it's helping to float the profits of a company.
It is goddamn amazing to me that all of last year was the let's shit on the horrible idea that is MoviePass idea.
Yeah.
and like people going like, look out at stock tank, ha ha ha, hilarious. They're in so much debt. It doesn't make any sense. And then at the same time, I'm just like, hey, look at fucking Netflix spending $2 billion a year on content.
Yeah.
They don't have that kind of money.
Nope.
And somebody says like, yeah, but they'll figure it out eventually. I'm just like, where's the logic there?
Yeah, they just have a longer leash. That's the thing. They have $1 billion
Where's
leash.
the logic of Amazon running in the red for like a decade?
Listen,
just to
100
get to the
million.
point where they close all these stores just so that they can be the only game in town.
100 million is a way better than $1 billion. Or is way harder to uncover than $1 billion.
Yeah.
When you owe somebody $1 billion, they're more likely to give you more money. When you owe somebody $60 million, they're just like, all right, we're gonna shut the spigots off.
We're about done with this.
Yeah. It's like, listen, I'd love to give you your $1 billion, but unfortunately, running out of money. What I'd really like to do is have you give me another $1 billion, and I swear to you,
I won't lose that one.
I'm not going to lose that one. I'm going to turn it into a real profit. And you're like, well, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else. What other choice do I have? I'm going to lose $1 billion.
Already pot committed.
Yeah. But at $60 million, you can write that off. That's fine. That's what Jeff Bezos has on his couch.
Yeah.
Well, soon to be his wife's bank account.
Couch money.
Yeah, soon to be his wife's bank account, his wife's couch. But anyway, yeah. So we had some other stuff, but we'll leave that for another day. That's fine.
Okay.
A lot of stuff.
Nothing too important.
Weather in LA, isn't it crazy? It's raining a lot. HIV cure. Second person cured from HIV.
I wouldn't mind saying one quick thing about weather in LA.
Yeah, go ahead.
First time that the weather in downtown Los Angeles, since they started recording this, didn't get above 70 degrees for the entire month of February.
Very weird. Yeah.
Also, for the first time in 74 years, I think something like that, it snowed in Los Angeles County.
Yep.
Which is very unusual. Obviously, 74 years since the last time it happened.
Yeah. And I mean, it was only at high elevations. It was like 1,400 feet.
Yeah, it was like Calabasas and Bel Air that were mostly getting it, but like
still, it's California. I moved here to get away from the snow, and it's been cold and snowy.
I feel like I deserve a refund.
Yeah. Also, global warming, definitely a thing. I don't know if we were aware of that. It's definitely a thing. So
yeah,
there you go.
I my brain hurts sometimes when I talk to my dad. He's just like, oh, what about your global warming with the 60 or 50 degrees in LA today? And I'm just like, yeah, that's a little unusual, and it makes me wonder what went wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you.
See, and this is where we fucked up. We fucked up by calling it global warming and
Yeah.
not climate change from the beginning. Climate change, because that's what they're always going to say. All the Trumpers are always going to say, oh, global warming, but it's colder. I'm like, it's climate change, guys.
Yeah.
It's colder and warmer. It's all about where is it cold and where is it warm at any given time.
Yeah. So it may snow more here in LA over the next coming decades.
God,
and,
let's hope not. I came here to get away from the snow.
Can't wait to see that nightmare scenario.
Yeah, the people can't drive in the rain. Can you imagine the freeway with snow
I was
on
on
it?
the 5 and somebody was going 30 when it was raining on the way to hockey.
Hazards
Yeah.
on, doing 30, weaving just to make sure they still had contact with the road. Like, all right, yeah, we're still
Just
good.
like, fuck you guys.
Here we go.
All right. Well, if you want to know where to go to find pictures of snow, you know where you can go?
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Cory to OTheAnthem.com. I had no idea where I was going. I just started saying words and hoped they made sense. The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
I will say, if there's a theme to this podcast, that's
Saying
exactly
words
what it
and
is.
hoping they make sense.
I just started talking and was hoping it was going to make sense by the end.
You can find more of me at my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, at LegendCB5 on Twitter and Instagram, and at Cory Baker Film on Facebook. The favorite review came out this past week. Would like to see a movie this week. Don't know exactly what it is, but I will definitely go see Captain Marvel next week.
That's right,
and
this
do
weekend,
a review
right?
of that one.
It's this weekend that's comes out, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
we're
like,
not going to go opening weekend.
no, probably not. But I mean, like, I will definitely try and see it next week at some point.
Sure.
It seems like Rachel's not totally down for that one, so maybe I'll just see that during the day.
Okay.
Go see a matinee showing.
Or, you could just go on any random night during the week, and when she falls down in the lobby, be like, I'm not doing this with you, Rachel!
I'm going to the movies.
Get up! You're such a bitch. Where's the Uber? Somebody give me a wine. That's my
What?
impression.
Nah, bitch.
That's my impression of Rachel. Anyway, you can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek, like you see right here on all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to political blogs, the news website, and the books which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rod's books.
And of course, we have another new book coming as soon as. Oh, I actually got you the back thing. We are now just discussing fonts and colors.
Oh yeah, I all I saw was the words, and then I sat literally in front of the computer going like, is he going to tell me whether I was a good boy or not? I don't know whether or not he appreciates
we were
the
discussing. Yeah, we were discussing the. I thought it was an interesting take. I thought the take you did on it was interesting, but then Roberto joined the conversation. Yeah, and then I had doubts. I had doubts running through my head. I was like, I get it. So it's like 80 kind of 80s themed, and it's kind of like the beach and the neon, and then there was the chiming in underneath. And I was like, maybe he's right.
All right, well, maybe we can discuss this more. It doesn't have to be that. It's just a thought that came to my mind.
Right, I think it applied 100%. And then,
especially because the book starts with the beach and like staring at the beach. By the way, did you recognize that picture?
Is that from Ocean City?
That is a picture from Robert and Cheek
taking
in Ocean
it, right?
City. Yeah.
It was in my parents' condo.
Yeah.
No.
I figured that view had something to do with the inspiration of the view that was in the book. So therefore, I decided to do a little subliminal thing there.
It did indeed. Yeah. Anyway, so you can thank Roberto for the delay in the book because now we have to discuss the cover.
Now I have to do a completely new redesign of the book.
Thanks, friend of the show, Roberto, who's probably watching. Oh, and
probably at my highlight. Get out of my highlight!
Get out of my highlight! I can still see you.
I will fuck you to death.
Anyway,
I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good, but as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Cory, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Somebody go to catering and get me a Shasta. A Shasta? Shut the fuck up.
I know we don't make it anymore.
Fago then.